Hello students, welcome to another video. This video on heredity and evolution is brought to you by AT2 Crystal Clear Concepts. In this module, we will discuss Mendel's law of inheritance. Mendel gave 3 laws or principles of inheritance based on the experimental work that he conducted. The first law is the law of dominance. Second, the law of segregation. And third, law of independent assortment. Now we will discuss them one by one. The first law is the law of dominance. The law of dominance states that out of a pair of contrasting characters present together, only one is able to express itself while the other remains suppressed. Let us understand this principle with the help of a monohybrid cross experiment. Suppose a pure tall pea plant is crossed with a pure dwarf pea plant. The gametes produced would be as follows. Now, if we plot a Punnett square, we see that all the individuals obtained are tall. We can clearly say that tallness is dominant over shortness, and we can see here that one character, that is tallness, has expressed itself and hence is the dominant one, while dwarfness remained unexpressed and is recessive. So simply we can conclude saying that recessive alleles will always be masked by dominant alleles. Therefore, a cross between homozygous dominant and a homozygous recessive will always express the dominant phenotype while still having a heterozygous genotype. Now we will discuss the second law, that is the law of segregation, also called as the law of purity of gametes. The law states that the two members of a pair of factors separate during the formation of gametes, or during gamete formation, the two alleles of the gene get separated or segregated. If the parent is homozygous tall, then the two alleles will get separated during gamete formation. If the parent is heterozygous, then during gamete formation, one gamete gets the dominant allele while the other gets recessive alleles. The gametes are pure for one particular allele, hence the law is also known as the law of purity of gametes. Thus we can summarize saying that gametes will get one allele of the two, one gamete has only one allele of a genes, hence is pure. In the simplest of terms, we can say that every individual organism contains two alleles for each trait, and these alleles segregate or separate during gamete formation such that the gametes contain only one of the alleles. Either gamete has dominant allele or recessive allele. Hence, it is pure for that particular allele. And now we will discuss the third law, that is the law of independent assortment. The law states that when there are two pairs of contrasting characters, the distribution of the members of one pair into the gametes is independent of the distribution of the other pair. Now, to understand the law of dominance and the law of segregation, we have used a monohybrid cross. The two could have been understood or explained with the help of a dihybrid cross also. But to understand the law of independent assortment, we use a dihybrid cross only. Now, we start with pure line parent generation for two characters. Here it is height and flower color. Because we are talking about Mendel's work, so we will start with pure lines. The two individuals are pure or homozygous, that is homozygous tall with homozygous purple flowers, homozygous dwarf with homozygous white flowers. Gametes formed will be 4 in number and they will be as follows: uppercase T and P and lowercase t and p. So if we plot a Punnett square in F1 generation, all 16 offspring will be heterozygous tall and heterozygous purple. In the F1, the dominant trait expresses itself, that is tall and purple. We have known this from the law of dominance. So now if we go for selfing of F1 generation, we get the next generation, that is F2. That is, the offspring of F1 generation are used as parents for the next generation. So the gametes formed are as follows. The gametes are formed such that a dominant allele of one gene can go with the dominant allele of the other gene as well as the recessive allele of the other gene. So if we see here, what we mean by independent assortment is that in a dihybrid cross, we see two contrasting characters. The uppercase T can independently assort with the dominant or recessive allele of the other gene, giving us the following. Hence, we can say that height and flower color do not affect the segregation of each other. So, these were the three laws of Mendel. Now, we will discuss sex determination. The sex of the child depends upon the kind of sperm that fertilizes the egg. The egg contains only one X chromosome, but half of the sperms released into the female are X-bearing and the remaining are Y-bearing. It is simply a matter of chance as to which category of sperm fuses with the ovum. If the egg X is fused by X-bearing sperm, the resulting combination is XX, that is female type, and the child produced is female, that is a daughter. If the egg X is fused by Y-bearing sperm, the resulting is XY, that is male constitution, and the child produced will be a male or a son. But remember, in some animals, the temperature at which the fertilized eggs are kept decides the gender. Example, in case of turtles.